All right, ladies, welcome to this episode of Joyful Scaling Podcast. I'm here today with Molly Dare Hillenbrand, who is an entrepreneur. She's a PR maven, and she's a media personality known for her company, Hillenbrand Media. She's hosted and produced multiple nationwide segments for the Eye On channel. She's been featured on the cover of Formidable Woman magazine. Who doesn't want to be formidable? Okay. If you don't know what that word means, look it up. Okay. And through her podcast, On Air with Molly Dare, she shares her guests' hardships, celebrations, and lessons learned. It's so inspirational. She's a single mom to two beautiful daughters. And I really don't know how she does it all. So welcome, Molly. I'm so blessed to have you here on the show.
Oh my gosh, Judy. Thank you so much. Such an honor to be on your podcast today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, let's start with what we were just chatting about before we hit the record button. Let's talk about the realities of being a mom and an entrepreneur who's traveling and all that good stuff. What happened today?
So let's just dive right into it, right? As I was apologizing to Judy as we just got on here because, this is mom life, entrepreneurship in a nutshell. I went to sit down. I tried to load early to make sure that there's no problems. And I realized that my laptop was switched with my daughter's laptop, and she took mine by mistake to school today, which normally wouldn't be a problem, right? It's a laptop. I can figure it out. Except for I don't know the school password. So I was sitting here trying to, but mom's intuition, I got it on the third try. So I'm really
pretty impressive.
I know. I was pretty impressed. I have to say I was pretty impressed that I got her password on the third try. And then I had the wrong meeting ID because it was updated. And, this is how it is, like daily. It's just constant juggling, things not going the way you planned. And, for all the successful entrepreneurs out there, I think the key ingredient of everyone that I admire, that I watch, that I'm like, wow, is their resilience and the way that they don't get deterred when stuff like this happens, right? You just keep going, you figure it out. We MacGyver the situation, right? Whatever we have to do to make it work. So it's just par for the course, just another day in the life, right?
Yes, I love that. The MacGyver of it all. I love that.
I just dated myself big time saying with that reference, right?
I don't even know. You got to be 20 years or so younger than me. So
I'm 43 years young. So yeah.
You look faboo. I'll be 56 in a few short weeks. So
happy early birthday.
Old enough to be your aunt or something.
Oh,
okay.
Sisters.
All right. Well, I really want to focus on entrepreneurial mindset because I know you just recently spoke at an event on that topic. Mm-hmm. But how about we begin by letting our listeners make sure they know about your background? What brought you to where you are today?
Oh my gosh. Do you have a few hours? I'll make it as short and succinct as possible. I'm really passionate about the entrepreneurial mindset, and I'll let you know it's what I love to speak about. When I was young in my teens, I was really ill. I got a strain of Lyme's disease. Lyme's disease is bad in and of itself, but I got a strain of it that was so severe that it landed me in hospitals for years. I was in and out. I went to school with an IV pole. For a short period of time, I was not able to move from the neck down, and I lost the ability to speak. I had the words in my head, but I could not speak them. So from a very young age, I learned how it was to be resilient, right? Things didn't go my way. I had to struggle through for a few years during middle school, which is the worst time in the world to stick out, to be sick. I watched all my friends kind of move on ahead of me, and I had to figure this out. So, fast forward to, and I'll spare all the details, I clearly recovered. I learned how to speak and I got all, my movement back and whatnot. But I realized then the importance of sharing your voice, speaking up, and how lucky we are to have our health, to have our voice, and that we should use it to kind of help us along the way. And you're going to be given tests throughout your life. It's just part of life, right? And life gives you the test first and the lessons after. So I learned from that experience, while you're in it, you're like, why me, right? Like, why is this happening to me? But I was given that test for a reason. And I think if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have the appreciation and gratitude, that I wake up with every day. I wouldn't have the fighting mentality that I do every day. And I wouldn't have the passion that I have now to share my voice and to not share mine, but the stories and the voices of so many others. So cut to really quick, me getting married and then divorced. And so I found myself a single mom. I, at the time, had a small little children's store in the town. And I realized real quick going through this divorce that I was going to be living on about 25% of what I was used to living on. So I was like, Molly, you got to think quick here, right? Because I didn't want my kids to suffer more than they already were. So I was like, how can I take what I know how to do and run the store and all the lessons that it was teaching me on team building and PR and all that and make it bigger? Because I got to make up a lot of money right now. And that's what got me to open up another store in Chicago. We can go into that another time. So I was running 2 stores, and I had a 4 and 6-year-old little girl watching me go through this process. And I realized it's not really about me anymore. A lot of my life up until I had kids was about me, right? And my choices and how I was affecting my life with my choices. And I was like, you know what? I have to show these 2 girls how to react when life throws you for a curveball, when you're just struck and like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. So I had a choice. I could lay down and, cry and have a pity party, which I did. Don't get me wrong, for a few weeks, maybe a few months. But I wanted to show them like a mom, a woman who rebounded, who was resilient. And I wanted to watch them. I wanted them to watch me build this new store from literally the ground up. We designed the build out. They were very much a part of it. They came with me. They did the inventory till midnight some days, and they were a huge part of my story. Cut to me moving again, me starting Hill & Brand Media, because the best part that I loved about having these children's stores was the PR aspect of it, and getting my store out there on social media. And that really became a passion of mine in helping my friends. And that's how Hill & Brand Media got started in 2017, is taking that love of PR and media and getting people in front of their businesses and sharing their stories. And then it turned into now where I'm doing the Spotlight series, where I am filming these segments, sharing other entrepreneurial men and women, their journeys and their stories to get to the successful place that they are today.
Mm-hmm. And I love your podcast. And it is so neat to get to know the story behind the person and even the person behind the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I work with my clients, and as these listeners know, these are high achieving, high thinkers, ambitious women who are building businesses to make big impact.
Yeah.
And we women are hard on ourselves. So many say, oh no, Judy, I don't want to get in front of the camera. Look, I have this chin. I got wrinkles. I'm overweight. And I'm just like, nobody cares. But
Nobody cares.
they want to know your story.
Oh my gosh. And Judy, don't you think, like, when you watch the successful women, and, I'm very passionate, my podcast is women targeted and sharing, women's stories. And don't you think, though, there is something so beautiful about watching someone speak so passionately about what they're doing? I'm sorry, nobody notices your or whatever it is that you are noticing. What we notice is that passion. That is more attractive to me than any physical feature, whatever it is that you're worried about. Don't even worry about it, because when you light up speaking about what you're so passionate about and people hear that and they resonate, that I don't care what you're selling or doing, when there's passion behind it and people get to listen to that, it ignites the spark in them. You're doing a disservice by not sharing your story, because all these people are waiting to be inspired, waiting to see someone who looks like them, talks like them, has been through the same experiences as them, and say, oh, that person did it, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I love everything you've just said. It's about relatability. Oh, yeah. She, meaning me, was beat by her husband. Oh, I was too. Wait a minute. She's a lawyer, but she wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Oh, wait, I relate to that. So these stories, ladies, if you have not embraced getting in front of that camera and just suck it up, the fact that you are not maybe who you were 10 years ago, or you're not whatever, it doesn't matter. Because I always tell my clients, look, you're trying to sell something, which really, no matter what it is, service or product, it's really you're selling you. Because if somebody trusts you, then what it is that you're putting out there is going to be something that's going to be so much more easily and readily received, right? So that's what we're really talking about, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about so many things I could have pulled out from that. I love that you wanted to serve as a model for your girls. I just want to tangentially say, I was a women's liber. My mom raised a strong woman, and I couldn't wait to have a daughter. Well, God gave me 3 sons. And, there was a time when I was angry, and I said, thanks a lot, God, but now it's just like, God gave me what I needed.
100%.
Not what I right? Not what I thought I needed or not
Well,
what I
you know,
wanted.
what's so funny, Judy, is that when I was pregnant with my first daughter, now I thought I was a boy mom. So I'm the reverse of you, which is so crazy to think about now. But when I was pregnant with my first child, they told me at the first anatomy scan that it was a boy, which they rarely make that mistake, right? Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And so I bought the whole nursery, it was the sailboats, the whole thing. And then luckily I had an ultrasound before another one where they're like, nope, it's a girl. I cried. Because I had already formed that attachment to what I thought was my son, right? Now, I mean, 16 years later, I can't imagine. I mean, I cannot imagine it any other way. And you're right. You are given what you need, not necessarily what you think you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I will tell you that if I had girls, I was never a girly girl. I don't even know what it would like to comb hair. My boys wouldn't let me comb their hair. They just got up and went, put hats on or whatever. Anyway, that's a really fun thing. Let's talk about the entrepreneurial mindset and talk about the resiliency. Like, what if someone out there, women, we tend to underestimate really our power.
Yeah.
And what we can really accomplish. So for the woman out there listening, and she may be making six figures, but she doesn't have that confidence and she feels like beaten down and kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Where can she begin to build this resilience?
We're all there. That happens often. Still, the people that you look at, you think are so confident, it happens to all of us all the time. We get into our own heads, right? And there's a couple kind of mind shifts and mind blocks that I use that have really helped me along the way. When I moved to Florida, I had to sell my retail stores, not by choice, through my divorce. Had to move to Florida. It was very unexpected, and I was kind of really beating myself down and just kind of lost and didn't know what my next step was. And that's when the local TV station came over to me like, we want you to come on. We want you to be an on-air host. And I'm like, oh, there's no way. I'm not going to get in front of the camera. I'm not going to do that. And they're like, no, we think you'd be great. There's times in your life where someone's going to see something in you that you don't see in yourself. And we talk ourselves out of it, but we have to hold on to that moment. What does that person see in me? How great that someone saw it, right? And that maybe I need to lean in a little bit on that. So, long story short, I agreed to do it. My first time on air was tragic. I asked for a 5-minute break because I could not get the words out. I mean, simple sentence, simple introduction of the next guest. I mean, it really wasn't rocket science. I asked for a 5-minute break and said I needed to pull myself together, right? I was failing. I was doing, not well. And in that break, I actually have it next to me. I'm always wearing a cuff. I don't have it on right now, but I always have cuffs on me because it makes me feel like Wonder Woman. It's just something that I always have on me when I'm dressed. And I was looked down, I was wearing this cuff at the time that said the word fearless on it. And I always wore it because I used to think it would make me like Superwoman and be fearless and go after everything. And I realized in that moment, Molly, fear and excitement are the same thing, right? We decide what we label it. Fear is looking at something as the worst case scenario. Excitement is looking at it as the best case scenario. I get to choose in that moment how I was going to look at this feeling that I was having. And I'm like, all right, Molly, what is the best outcome of this moment? How can you visualize yourself, really leaning into this excitement, this nervous energy, and making it you more bubbly and animated on camera? And what is the best? So I really took some time there thinking about that. And in that moment, I realized we are not expected to live this fearless life that we think that we're automatically going to have the superpower, right? It doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Fear is something that we can learn to live with, to use to our advantage, that feeling. And in that moment, I took power of the fear. And so now when I look at that word fearless, I don't use it as one word. It's to fear less. To live with fear, to make it work to your advantage and to expect it and to understand it and not be so scared of it. So that was a really big mindset shift for me. And the other one that I just wanted to touch on real quick is as I got more used to being on camera and they brought me on, they knew that what I do is I expand businesses, I make them bigger. I only see things in terms of world domination. And so they said, Molly, we want to be bigger. We don't want to be just Eye on South Florida. And I'm like, great, you need to be Eye on New York, Eye on Chicago, Eye on LA. We have to be everywhere. And they said, great, go do that. Now I wasn't producing at the time, right? That was a skill set that I didn't know that I had, but I knew that I could learn. And in that moment, I decided, okay, Molly, we got to shift our thinking to, I don't know how to do that, to, I don't know how to do that yet. And that one word added at the end of a sentence changed the trajectory of my life from 2017 on, because whatever comes my way, whatever opportunities are, I don't shy away from them if it's not exactly something I immediately know how to do right away. We are so capable. It's amazing when we really put our minds to it and get our mindset right. We are so capable. And again, when someone sees something in you and they bring the opportunity to you, there is a reason. So just because you don't know how to do it now doesn't mean you can't learn. Trial by fire sometimes, right? We don't necessarily need to see the all 10 steps of the goal. You need to know where you're going for sure, right? We need to know the end goal. We need to know at least the first few steps. But a lot of times, I look at life a lot of times with each new initiative as a staircase, and you gotta at least take those first 2 steps so that the others light up along the way, because it will unravel itself if your intent is, as you used this magic word in the beginning, impact. When you can use your genius, your talent to positively impact others, you're in a winning situation.
Wow. So much. We could spend the next 3 hours unwrapping all of that. I wrote down some great notes. The Wonder Woman cuff. I'm not really a cuff wearer, but that's really cool.
I didn't want it to be hanging on anything, so I took it off, but I'm always wearing them.
Yeah, I love that story. Thank you for that and being so real with us, because, I've been a fan of yours. I follow you. You are everywhere. You are liking everything. And before we end, I want to touch on that story.
Aggressive liker. Yeah.
Going in jail, right? Yeah. So, but let's just really land on something that I want every listener to take action on, if nothing else from this episode. It comes down to a decision. It comes down to a decision. I get to choose. Am I going to let fear win or faith win? Or in your way, fear or excitement? And I get that. I'll share a real quick story. When the first time I was in court, I'm a trial lawyer from way back when. First time I was in court, same thing, where I'm like, okay, Judy, you practice this. I couldn't get the words out. And then the judge was attacking me. And then the opposing counsel was attacking me. And I took 5. And I remember like mumbling, I was praying and I was saying, okay, Judy, this is it. You graduated at the top of the class. Don't give in. You can do this. And it was just slow down your thoughts and get it out. So ladies, you're hearing from 2 powerhouse successful people here. And listen, we don't have it all figured out. And by the way, I've interviewed tons. I've been blessed to interview so many women and work with so many women. And every single one that's made it to 7 figures or 8, they've all said the same thing. I've done things, said yes to things before I was ready. And that's the only way you're ever going to get there.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. I co-sign 100% on that one. Absolutely. It's key. It is key to saying yes to the things that scare you, the things that are unfamiliar. It's okay. Everyone that, as you said, like everyone that you watch, they've all been there. They've all done that. We don't all have it figured out from the start. None of us do.
Yeah. We got to learn it along the way. So, how about this? You're a PR maven. Okay. So for someone just starting out and they can't afford someone like yourself, right? What should be their approach to this whole idea of getting out there, getting visible through PR?
Well, we're so lucky now that it's so easy. You don't need someone like me, as I put myself out of a job by saying this, you don't need someone like me coming in with a whole camera crew, right? Spotlighting you, although it's a lot of fun. So you can do it at home. We've got video, on our camera, on our phones. So a lot of people are just nervous. They're uncomfortable being filmed, right? That's the first thing. So the first step to doing anything is, first of all, you have to understand the importance of being the face of your brand. That is number one. That is paramount. I cannot tell you the advantage it is when you are able to step in front of the camera and be the voice, the face of your brand. It just creates long-term loyalty. It creates that trust factor. Okay, so now you've bought into that. Now you need to practice being in front of the camera, getting comfortable talking about what you love. A lot of times people will call me to help them with their camera presence. And so I say, okay, great. Send me like a 2 to 3 minute video of you talking about your business. And they send me kind of like a very stiff, video of themselves talking about their business and what they think I want to hear as an expert, right? And I go, okay, now send me another video of you talking about your kids, your dogs, your pets, whatever that is. And they'll send me, a 2-minute video of that. I go, look at the difference between the two. Look at how you light up, how animated you are. That's what I want to see. Look at the subtle differences, how laid back, how much more you smile, how more you lean into the camera to speak, how you emphasize certain words. The other thing I suggest, watch people who you react to, who you like to see on camera, and see which parts of them. Now, don't copy them because that's inauthentic, right? You don't want to copy someone else, but take little pieces, see like, oh, I love how she laughs, or I love how she accents these certain parts, or how she moves her hand. I'm a hand talker, right? You can never stop that from me. When I first started as a host, they said, Molly, keep your hands down. And I did that. And I started talking like this, and everything that made me left. And like, you know what? Bring the hands back. Yes, be you. And that brings me to my last point. I mean, I could go on and on about this, but my last point is to whatever sets you apart, whatever makes you different. If you have a funny laugh, if you are a hand talker, if you're whatever that is, go all in on that. What makes you different? Really, that's where you're going to shine. Don't hide it. Magnify it. That is what makes you, you. No one's looking for perfection. No one is. Perfection is boring. Nobody wants to see that. So go all in on what sets you apart, what makes you, special, and start putting the video up on your social media feeds, talking about what you want to get press on. If you're passionate about, talking about breast cancer, if you're passionate about homeschooling, whatever that is that you are so passionate about, when you reach out to PR, when you reach out to local TV, they're going to look on your social media to see your camera presence, and that you are who you say you are, and that you are as passionately talking about this topic that you're claiming to be an expert in. So just make sure when people land on you, when they Google you, when they go to your Instagram, Facebook, that there is something in there that they can easily find that is you talking about the specific thing that you wrote to them, or that you're trying to be the expert on.
Wow, good stuff. We've done a lot in 30 minutes. Thank you, Molly.
Oh, absolutely. This is so much fun.
Briefly, if you have just 2 or 3 more minutes.
Of course.
Okay, I wanted to touch on your IG story that I just saw. You were put in IG jail, but you were complying with the platform. Tell us about that.
Please help me understand this, Judy, because I have used Instagram forever. I am someone, I just think it's a great tool to get your business out there to whatever, again, you're passionate about. And so a lot of the people I follow are these incredible, mostly women, but also men, who are just going after it in life, right? So I'm liking and commenting like, yeah, fire, whatever. I do it, whenever I have free time, I'm just quickly going through and liking and commenting. Well, apparently there's a rule on Instagram that you can only like so many within an hour, or it thinks you're a bot. But it's just me, liking and commenting as many as I can while I have the time. So I get jailed. I've been jailed at least 10 times the past 2 years for doing this. I'm not going to stop, clearly. But so I coined the term aggressive liker, because there's many of us out there that are just on there to support, to use Instagram the way that it was intended, which is to like and comment and support other creators, other people who are going out there. Like, I'm using it for a positive, and yet I'm being jailed for it. So, life, when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So I coined the term aggressive liker. There's so many of us out there, and I made merchandise about it. I'm like, come on, join the club. It's an aggressive liker club. There's so many fun people here. Come and join us.
Yeah. I do not like tech. I'm, closer to 60. And so to me, it's a necessary evil. And I really look at it like that. But then this is an example of why it makes me crazy.
Yeah.
You're doing it the right way and with the right heart, all that good stuff. Well, listen, I want to talk about just very briefly your store, your merchandise. So can you tell our listeners where to find it and what will we find there?
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. So everything is compiled. We just launched our new website. It's called mollydare.com. Easy to remember. And on there, you have my Spotlight series, which is all the features of the entrepreneurs and their story. You have my podcast episodes featuring amazing women and their stories. And then you have my shop. And in my shop, we just have fun merchandise, shirts, sweatshirts, hats, mugs, all that with the words fearless, right? Not fearless, but fearless. Daring, play off of my name, because for those of you who live a daring life, which is many of you, and then aggressive liker, because I'm going to make aggressive liker a positive and not a negative, right?
There you
So
go.
that's where you will find on there.
I love it. I love it. All right. So this is called the Joyful Scaling Podcast. So I would love for you to tell our listeners what brings you joy in your business.
Oh my gosh. What brings me joy in my business is when I see there's like a moment where someone comes into their own and I can watch it. I watch it happen. Like I literally can pinpoint the moment where they all of a sudden like come into their moment, right? They're shining, they're sharing their journey and their story, and they kind of come into their power. Sometimes I see it when I'm interviewing them on, either the film segments or podcasts where they're just like completely owning it. Or sometimes it's like after when I've worked with someone for a while and I just see them start putting themselves out there more and more and more, and that confidence built. When I see that happen for each and every woman, that brings me joy.
Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. All right. Well, besides mollydare.com, where can we follow you on social?
I am all over Instagram. So you can follow me, my personal page, which is Molly at Molly Dare. My business page, which is the featured spotlights, is at Hillenbrand Media. And then the podcast itself is at On Air with Molly Dare.
Okay, awesome. Molly, thank you so much for sharing your heart and yourself here today.
Oh,
I really
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, Judy. So appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for listening. Leave a rating and a review. Your feedback is really, really important. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.